I'm Steven. That's John. We're with Just Got Played, and we are counting down MrX's top 25 games of all time. So this is the 7th annual version of this list. We do it every December. And if you don't know what it is, you can go back and look at our first video, December 1st, number 25. I talk about it in a little more detail. But essentially, I've collected top 50 lists from a bunch of people and aggregated them into this one list. And so we're going and we're counting down the top 25 games. So today is December 10th, and we are talking about number 16 on the list. And that game is For Sale. So For Sale is an older game, and it's themed around auctioning off houses. Although recently they made a new version, For Sale Autorama, that is themed off of auctioning cars. You can buy either version of the game. The Autorama version, though, has these advisor cards and an extra round, and you should absolutely ignore those. I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you how to play For Sale, pretending like that doesn't exist, right? So For Sale basically is played in two parts. You start with some money, and so depending on the player count, say there's 4 players, right? So you'll put out 4 houses. And on your turn, you can either bid to sort of stay in the auction, or you can pass. And if you pass, you take the lowest valued house that's available. And then the next person, but if you bid, then the next person either has to bid over you or they pass and take the lowest numbered house. Now, if they'd already put some money in and they pass, they get half their money back. Different versions of the rules say whether to round up or down for the half. So, do whatever you want there. But so that's what you're going to do over the course of the first sort of half of the game. You're going to collect a bunch of houses spending this money that you started with. And the second half is going to be blind bidding. So there are going to be checks, and there's going to be, again, a check put out for every player. And they're going to go in value from like 0 to 15. So you'll see what's out there, and there might be like 2 15s, a 5, and a 3. And so what you do is everybody simultaneously chooses one of the houses that they bought in the first round, puts it face down, and then everybody simultaneously reveals, and whoever has the highest numbered house gets the highest numbered check, and then on down the list. So it's got this interesting 2 types of auction mechanisms going on. It's really fast, plays, I think up to 7 players. And it's really super easy to teach. And it's got these interesting decisions that can sort of happen. I mean, you could get stuck with a really crappy house in the first round. And then in the second round, when you're selling those houses, there could be a round where the checks that come out are like 12, 11, 10, 10. And you're like, I don't care. I'll throw out my cheapest house because I'm going to get at least 10. And whoever puts out the best one's only getting 12. So who cares? Right. So even if you feel like you had a bad first round, it may not be that bad as things wash out in the second round. So this is one of my personal favorite games of all time. So I've talked about it on the channel before. But John, why don't you tell me what you think about For Sale?
Yeah, I think For Sale is another one of those games that everyone should have in their collection. Good filler game, good, start or end to the night, easy to teach, fun to play. There's a lot of interaction within the game, and it really feels like 2 really fun games put in together that mesh really well. So the first is you're doing that bidding, and the bidding is very strategic. Do I want to put this? If I put this much in and I get half back, how much is that going to benefit me? And then in the second round, you've got the cards in your hand, and you're just trying to make that judgment call of when to play what and when to hold on to different things. So it checks all those boxes of just being a staple game for me that you can break it out anytime, you can teach it, and people are going to understand it. And there's a lot of decision space to be made into it. My favorite kind of games are easy to learn, tough to master, and this is a great example of that. So I would put this in any collection. I think it's a great game, and I can absolutely see why it's on the list.
Yeah, when people talk about auctions or auction mechanisms in games or whatever, I always say this is my favorite auction game of all time. I will say that recently Ra is getting a reprint, right? So I played Ra a couple of times, and I'm waiting on my deluxe version of Ra to get delivered. And so maybe Ra will give it a run for its money. But Probably not, because just you can pull For Sale out of the box and start playing in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's so many factors to it because maybe Raw is a better game overall, but it takes 3 times as long to play easily. It plays less player count, so when it comes down to just like all the check boxes that this game can hit, it's really tough to beat that kind of efficiency and having this in your collection.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad, obviously I'm a contributor and the lists that got aggregated, and this being so high on my list was a factor. But I'm glad somebody else agreed with me at least to bump this up here where it made it into number 16 of the top 25 games of all time. Join us tomorrow, where on December 11th, when we list the number 15 game. But until then, make sure to enter the contest, because as always, this is a contest that we're running in December in conjunction to this top 25 games of all time. All you have to do to enter is comment on the videos that we put out. Right? So in the YouTube comments below, tell me what your favorite auction game is. If you don't really have an opinion on auction games, tell me what you think about For Sale. If you don't really have an opinion on that, tell me which theme you like better, houses or cars. I prefer to play with the car version of the game over houses. But anyway, I'm Steven. That's John. We're from Just Got Played, and thanks for joining us.